back to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for Superbike Speed Fest at Monterey, presented by Law Tigers. 5 different categories from the MotoAmerica Championship Series on property here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Supersport qualifying session number 2 out on the racetrack right now. This is a 30-minute qualifying session, and while we had fog still in the area for the first 2 qualifying sessions this morning, you can see there that it is moving out. Blue skies are starting to move in overhead, and the racetrack certainly starting to heat up. And Roger, after just the opening minutes of this the second qualifying session, we are already below the pole time that was set in Q1 yesterday.
Yeah, and these guys are just on it right now, and the track conditions is the big change.
There's the number 1 plate of Matthew Skoltz, who just a moment ago was on that provisional pole, but lap time just continuing to get better and better and better as this session continues. Matthew Skoltz yesterday in the first session of qualifying was about 2.5 tenths off of the pace that was set by PJ Jacobsen, but he's certainly out there pushing this morning. Roger, take a look at this.
Yeah, this is going into the last corner. We've seen this a little bit the last couple of days, just the bike being a little bit upset. He's trying to get the power down out of there, and the bike's moving around. Once he gets up on that curb, you got to kind of pick the bike up, and yesterday his bike was moving around a little bit as well.
The other thing for Matthew Skoltz that unfolded in that first qualifying session yesterday, Roger, was he qualified behind his teammate, Blake Davis.
Yeah, and that's going to be a little bit different, but I think for the teammates and for the team, that's what they want to see. They want to see their riders elevating each other, because that's only going to help them. And for Blake, that's going to be his target. And you know, Matt's going to come out strong today. He's a heck of a competitor, and he's not going to want to see his younger teammate, even though it was just qualifying, be in front of him.
There's the number 15 of PJ Jacobsen. He led the practice session yesterday morning. He led the first qualifying session yesterday afternoon, and currently leading this qualifying session as well. His best time so far is a 1:27.1. So that is the provisional pole time right now. But Roger, when you look at our timing and scoring screen that we have up here, every single rider all the way down through the top 13, their last lap was their best lap.
And it's just going to continue to get better now the sun's out. The track temperature's really going to start to rise. So I think you'll see this session early on, some guys will be, you know, as always, kind of working on their long run, their changes overnight. But I think toward the end of the session is really when this last 10 minutes comes, is when it's going to set the grid, because the track is just going to be even better then. See, PJ's best lap yesterday was a 26.8, so he's a little bit off that, 3 tenths off his best time yesterday, so he's getting a little bit closer for him. He just looks solid this weekend. His bike doesn't look like it's moving around as much, and looks like he's got good grip, getting good exits off the corner. He's consistently able to put these laps in. You know, that lap's a 27.0. It's only a tenth better of what he did, so he's getting better every lap and just being able to reel these laps off, and he just looks really smooth.
See him looking around a little bit. We don't see Kayla right there with him, which is what we usually see at the beginning of qualifying sessions, the two teammates going out there together. There's the number 22 of Blake Davis that we were talking about out qualifying Matthew Skoltz yesterday in that first qualifying session. Had about a 0.2 of a second gap over him. It was new coming into the season for Matthew Skoltz and Strack Racing, bringing out a second bike in Supersport and having a teammate and somebody else under the awning. More information available, certainly with a brand new bike, and being able to go through some of the testing motions a little bit quicker, having 2 bikes out there, but also just to push Matthew.
And for Blake too, a younger guy moving in, it's to your point, going to push Matt, but when you get two riders that are fast like those two are and competitive, whenever they're struggling with the bike, if both of them are having the same problem, you know there's an issue there, and that really can make the team sort things out a lot quicker. And when you go testing, everybody's looking at the lap times, and every time one goes faster, the other one's going to step up a little bit. So it really does elevate each other and the team.
Oh, we watched Kayla getting up to speed. Let's get down to Joe.
Thanks, Jamie. Yes, it's been really interesting to build on something we talked about yesterday with regards to the weight change rules. Strat Racing in particular, I was just speaking to some of their crew members. They said the new minimum weight, it really doesn't suit their bike very well, but the guys, it really doesn't suit their bike very well, but the guys have been doing their best to try to get used to it. We expected Blake Davis to be the rider that suffered the most from that minimum 7 kilograms, but in fact it's been really impressive seeing how strong Blake has been riding. Matt Scholz, perhaps he just needs a little bit more time out on the track to get comfortable to those new changes on the bike, but I'd expect to see our defending champion getting a lot more used to this new feel each time he gets a few laps in on the bike.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, playing with the weight, that becomes a tricky part for the teams. Tricky also, we just saw that lap we were watching Tyler Scott. What happened there, Roger?
He just got in turn 2 there a little too deep and ran off track. Sometimes whenever you know you're in too deep, you don't want to, you know, push the front end too much, so he just got in a little deep. And that's just it's kind of a common mistake here down into turn 2. You get going up over this hill wide open, and it's the braking downhill. See Cam Peterson there was on a good lap. Very good lap, because you see the frustration there with the rider behind him.
It felt like he was held up there, and you say very good lap through the first 2 sectors of that one. He was his personal best in sector 1 and best of anybody through the second sector. So here at the end of this lap, he's going to have to regroup himself and get ready to go at it again. There's a replay of what it was that we were talking about.
Yeah, just qualifying and somebody going slow in the racing line, and Cam's on a good lap. But it happens. Everybody gets held up here and there, and it's just he's got to put his head back down and put it behind him and do what he did the previous lap. And right now he's even on the personal best first sector right now, so he's been able to put it behind him really quick.
Watch Cam Peterson complete this lap. As he goes through the motions, you think about the season that he's had making this move to Supersport, this Ducati ride opening up for him. He's been on the podium twice this season, one of them coming back at the last round at the Ridge.
Almost won one of the races at WeatherTech. He's just kind of been a little bit up and down and a couple crashes and an injury for Cam's kind of, I think, really set him back a little bit to be further up in the points. But we know he's got the speed to win these races. And this is a track Cam's good at. Everybody loves Laguna, and I think it suits the Ducati well as well as they go up over turn 1 here. And not going to be a better lap, but for him it's a 27.3. He's consistently kind of in those low 27s.
There's Tyler Scott on pit lane talking with the team. We saw that last lap where he just went a little bit wide, Roger, coming down and having a moment just to regroup and go through the data, the information that is at hand. What can he learn from looking at this?
Well, trying to figure out what happened. Did I go in too quick or whatever? Just trying to, or is it too much engine braking? Whatever it might be, just trying to really let the crew know. And like, it's really important to be detailed and looking at that computer and show them exactly where you're having that problem, so it's just really clear what needs to be fixed.
See Kayla Yakov down on pit lane as well, doing the same, going through information with her team, getting ready for the second half of this qualifying session. You can see the body language there, Roger. they were talking about it, and Kayla's saying it's really not bad.
Yeah, she acts like some places we're better, and that's the thing when you make improvements to the bike, that you don't want to hurt it in other areas. So sometimes when you make an improvement, you got to make sure you didn't hurt yourself in other areas more than that. With a 26.8 now for Cam Peterson, now he puts himself provisionally on the front row, on pole, provisionally on pole. That's a good lap for Cam right there. It's got to be a huge confidence booster, able to go out and be on top of this board right now.
1:26.8 for Cameron Peterson. So the frustration from the previous lap and feeling like he was getting held up, what he now knows is that he can put those sectors all together and do it lap after lap. So great lap from him, but we still have 14 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. You look at the timing and scoring pylon on the screen, and look how many riders are on pit lane right now.
Looks like they're adjusting the rear set there on the right side, so not sure if something happened, and also making sure the brake, that's the hard part. You kind of put that screw in to the brake line there, so getting that lined up, not exactly sure. Maybe even sometimes riders even move their foot pegs around and try to get weight on different parts of the bike, so just making some sort of adjustment, and then see exactly what happened.
Corey Alexander, Josh Hayes, see Gabriel De Silva, Chase Black out there right now. And talk about clean racetrack. Everybody's on pit lane. There's the 23 of Corey Alexander. We saw him out earlier this morning in Mission Super Hooligans. Now getting out there in Supersport. You take a look at the championship point standings coming into racing here this weekend. PJ Jacobson with a 10-point advantage over Matthew Skoltz, who's sitting ahead of his teammate Blake Davis, and Tyler Scott staying there inside of the top 4. But Roger, there was a 20-point advantage going into the last round back at the Ridge, and with back-to-back wins from Matthew Skoltz, he's carrying momentum and starting to close down that gap.
And that's what he needed to do, is go in there at a track that he was really good at, and where the Yamaha worked well, and he's to capitalize and get those 2 wins and close the gap down to 10 points, which is going to be huge. PJ mentioned on the preview show how those 2 riders are kind of setting the class, and they're always first and second. So it's hard. You can't really risk a mistake and lose a ton of points in a race, because it's too hard to make up a big gap between both of them, because they're always right there fighting for the podium.
Let's get down to pit lane. Still busy down there, Joe.
Thanks, Jamie. Yes, I've got Kayla Yakov. She's about to go back out. We've got a lot of riders on pit lane right now. What's going on with you?
Yeah, we made a huge change today, so trying to just get that little bit to get me more confident. But yeah, going right back out now, trying to put in a good lap. Excellent.
Well, Kayla getting tapped on the shoulder there just as we speak. A lot of riders on pit lane making changes to the bike. The sun has definitely come out. It is warmer over here. So let's see them all get back on their bikes. Some tire changes as well going on.
The thing that she said there, Roger, they made some huge changes trying to get her more confident. Yes, you can make the bike go faster, but that confidence that the rider has, that ultimately is what puts the power to the ground.
Yeah, that's the most important part, is the confidence in the bike, the front end, the rear end. And for Kayla, making those big changes for her, she's been really impressive the last couple races there, getting a lot. Each weekend, she's just consistently there now. It's not kind of up and down. And for her, I think now making those big changes, and that's something she's going to learn. She's really young as well, is what those changes do to the bike. What changes is she looking for? It's stuff she has to figure out herself.
Kayla looking to get a clean exit out of pit lane. She certainly doesn't want to get in the way of any of the riders that are out there right now, putting the laps together. Riders are starting to get back out. You see Tyler Scott there on the number 70, his teammate Max Van right behind him. Both of those bikes exiting pit lane as well. Just over 10 minutes remaining in this final qualifying session for Motovation Supersport. Track temperature is now up to 89 degrees, so not as warm as what we had in that first qualifying session yesterday, but we are on an upward trend here, Roger, and starting to get good.
Starting to get good. Cam's went quicker than he went yesterday, so everybody knows the track conditions is where they're at. And early on in the session, I'm sure everybody went out with a used tire because they didn't want to waste a brand new tire not knowing what the track conditions were. So you see everybody heading out of the pits right now. See Blake here coming through the first sector. We'll see if this is a better one for him. Not a personal best. So I'm not sure if Blake's came in and got a new rear tire yet or not.
I think he might have that frustration that he had getting behind Owen Williams there on the number 13. It looks like he was starting to push a little bit and try and start building up these sectors with that new tire. We talked about in the other categories the traffic and the role that traffic can play. Here in qualifying, when the changes have been made overnight by some of these teams to get themselves ready for racing and not being able to go out there and push it, it's frustrating.
It's really frustrating because you're out there doing qualifying laps, so you might do your best second and third sector, but you get behind traffic in the fourth sector and it runs your lap. And when a class is this competitive, a couple tenths could be a couple rows.
You see Matthew Skolds, he was personal best through the first three sectors. Blake Davis there, his teammate right behind him, watching at the bottom of the screen. Matthew Skolds able to improve to a 1:27.0. Blake Davis on that lap was not able to improve, but again, we did see him get caught up and frustrated from it, so he's going to put his head down and see what he can do here on this lap. Back to Matthew Skolds, so now able to go even quicker through the first sector. As we watch this lap, a reminder that you can play MotoAmerica for cash, and Superbikes, Baggers, and Supersport classes are all now live on the top sports books and DFS platforms. Just scan that flow code on your screen or visit nxtbets.com/PlayMA to see what's available in your location. You can sign up, claim exclusive bonuses, and make your picks now. All betting will close 30 minutes prior to the start time of the racing, so make sure you go ahead and get your picks in now, and they'll refresh overnight as we get ready for the second races tomorrow. 7.5 minutes on the clock in the final qualifying session for Motovation Supersport. Everyone starting to pick up some steam here. Matthew Skolds, personal best through the first two sectors. He improves his lap time, a 1:27 flat. That puts him on the second row as we're getting closer and closer to racing later on this afternoon. He was able to improve his time from yesterday by just a couple thousandths of a second. But second row start is not going to be where Matthew Skolds wants to be. No,
not at all. And for Cam, he's doing a good first sector, but he's kind of losing there in the second and third. He just hasn't really connected all the sectors yet. And I think whenever he's going to be able to do that, he's going to be able to lower that lap times more into the 26. But this has been a great session for Cam and the Ducati.
1:26.8 for Cameron Peterson on that last lap. No, it wasn't an improvement. He is the provisional pole sitter right now, a 1:26.80. That one was a 1:26.86. So even not connecting the dots in the middle of the lap, he's still consistently quicker than the rest of the field.
Blake also 26.8, so he's found some speed as well.
So we watch Blake Davis come around the final turn. Can he improve? And Matthew Skolds out on the racetrack in front of him goes to a 1:26.8. So from the second row to the provisional pole sitter, Blake Davis on that lap, a 1:26.84. So no improvement for him. PJ Jacobsen, what does he have to say about it? He was right there at the top, 1:26.8 for PJ Jacobsen. He's now on the outside of the front row looking in.
It is so close. Top 4 is all on a 26.8 lap time right now. You talk about why riders get upset whenever traffic. I mean, just one little half of a tenth can move you from the second row to the front row, and that's huge.
5 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. Looking at the lap times that were put in yesterday for PJ Jacobson, our provisional pole sitter coming into this session, it was a 1:26.1. You put that up against qualifying results so far this morning, and it does put him qualified in third. So Blake Davis, if he's going to stay on the front row, he needs to find just a little bit more.
And looking at the splits, it looks like he's going to find a little bit more. Blake just looks really confident on the bike. I mean, he just looks really strong, really fast, like he's able to put that thing where he wants. It's really smooth in the change of directions from the corkscrew also.
Watch him come up the hill, currently being shown below pole. And is an improvement to a 1:26.3 for Blake Davis. Now sits at the top. You see the team there celebrating. Xavi Flores there with the headset on. That is his crew chief. Yes, past champion Xavi Flores, working hard this season, but also on that same lap, PJ Jacobson coming back. He's now gone a 1:26.390, 7 thousandths of a second separating him. PJ Jacobson with the advantage, but you can see Blake Davis is still pushing.
Yeah, Blake's still going. That was a great lap for Blake, and now these guys, they've kind of separated themselves with that lap time back to Matthew Skoltz, who's about a half a second back there in third, so needs to find a little bit. Cam Peterson now's got moved back to the second row there in fourth. Max Girardo, what a great session for him on the Altus Yamaha inside the top 5.
Maxi Girardo is an impressive rider. We saw him last year really turn some heads and start to make a name for himself, not out this season, and being able to come out this weekend with as tight as this competition is in Motovation Supersport, and he's picking up right where he left off. Matthew Skoltz went his personal best through the first sector. Again, connecting the dots in the middle as the issue improves to a 1:26.8 for Matthew Skoltz. Puts himself up in third.
Matt did personal best first and fourth sector, so the second and third one, he was a little bit off. So if he can clean that up and put all of his sectors together, it's going to be a low 26 also.
There's the number 41, Maxi Girardo, that you were talking about, Roger. Right inside of the top 6.
It's great to see Max back. He's such a standout year last year with some pole positions and podium and Supersport. Kind of caught everybody by surprise.
You see Kayla Yakov, we heard her talk to Joe saying that she was looking for some more confidence. When you look at the sector times, her personal best improving to a 1:27.1. It looks like she has found some of that confidence that she was looking for. I was just looking at the qualifying results from last year here, Roger, trying to compare some times. We're not in the same setup as back in 2017 when Garrett Gerloff set the Supersport track record. Bikes are very different this time around at this stage in this category, but they're qualifying quicker than they did here last year, and that's going to give them some momentum going into racing later on this afternoon.
For Matt, let's see what he can do. So get a little bit of a draft there, see if that helps. 26.4, still just a little bit off it on that front row, but that's a good lap by Matt. That's going to be huge for him, able to close that gap back down and know he's right there. Matt's been reeling these laps off. He's did a lot of really fast laps in a row.
Just over a minute remaining in this final qualifying session for Motovation Supersport. Blake Davis currently right in the middle of the front row. The front row, Roger, is separated first to third by less than 0.8 of a second in terms of pace. And we can find some consistent laps. This is going to be a great race later on this afternoon as we watch Tyler Scott, better than anybody through Sector 1. You can see he was a little bit frustrated working in the middle part of this qualifying session, trying to find just a little bit more. And he's found some.
He's found some. Now he's in this final sector. From here, there's somebody in front of him. Just hopefully he can get through it clean. He might be able to move himself onto the front row with this lap.
It's already faster than what he did in that first qualifying session yesterday. He did improve a little bit overnight. Is it going to be enough? Can he move himself up even higher, get a little bit of a draft, and cross the stripe? A 1:26.6 for Tyler Scott. He moves himself up from 6th to 4th. And he's going to get another lap.
You can see he's still trying to get the grip. You can see him getting the power down, struggling a little bit there out of turn 2.
Taking it down to the wire for Blake Davis and Matthew Skoltz. Neither one of them were shown the checkered flag that is now flying from the start-finish stand. So this will be the final lap. It is the final attempt. And you see Matthew Skoltz sitting behind his teammate with that #1 plate, thinking about the young kid that joined the team this season and now sitting behind him, seeing if he can pick up on anything. Final attempt at it. Both of these riders on the front row.
It's a good point for Matt right here to be able to see where Blake's better, where he can improve. Exact same bike. So he knows that if Blake's better in one of these sectors where he can pick it up, there's something that he can improve.
Still a number of riders that have not taken the checkered flag. You see him here coming across the stripe. There's Dave Anthony on the number 25. Cam Peterson, did he pick up anything? A 1:26.8 for Cam, who was really strong in that middle part of this session. He sits back in 5th place, but consistently right there in the mid-26 range. So he's got some good race pace for later on this afternoon. Kaylee Yakov just took the checkered flag as well. She's back in 6th with a 1:27.1. So she was able to find some improvement. But what about these two? Looking at the sectors right now, I'm not sure either one of these laps are going to be an improving lap. Is Matthew Skoltz able to get around Blake? Going up the hill, that final lap for Matthew Skoltz, a 1:26.7, is a 1:28.0 for Blake Davis. But with the session now complete, look at the front row, Roger. PJ Jacobson on pole, Blake Davis in 2nd, Matthew Skoltz there. Look, is he looking at his boot?
I'm not sure what he's looking at. For Matt, one thing he always wants to be on pole and lead every session, but he's going to look back at this session and see how many laps he did into the 26s, his race pace, and he's going to feel better about that.
See Kayla there on the number 19. She is not happy, turning around over her shoulder and shaking her head. She might have a little left in the tank that she wasn't able to put to the racetrack there in terms of lap time.
Yeah, somebody definitely got in the racing line and held her up a little bit.
There's her teammate, PJ Jacobson, our pole sitter, as we go into both of the races this weekend. For PJ Jacobson, our point leader, a 10-point advantage over the defending champion, Matthew Skoltz. This is his first pole position of the season. We give him a lot of confidence going into racing later on this afternoon. He's coming off of a pair of 2nd place finishes back at the Ridge. Matthew Skoltz there, the rider with the number 1 plate. He won both of those races at the Ridge. So while he's carrying that winning momentum, PJ's found just a little more pace here this weekend. That was one of the things that he said on their preview show, Roger, was he was really excited about coming to this racetrack. He just flows really well here. He has a lot of confidence when he comes to the racetrack here. Take a look at this just a minute ago. This was Matthew was looking at his boot.
Yeah. Not sure what happened.
We see him a lot, just his riding style. He put his foot down. Does that have any impact on the boot?
It can on the bottom. On the bottom, sometimes they have to get the soles replaced whenever they do drag their foot. That could be it, but not sure. Never really seen that.
Let's get down to pit lane and hear from Joe.
Thanks, Jamie. Yes, we are just down on pit lane. I've got PJ Jacobson, who is our pole sitter. Well, PJ, that was a very exciting qualifying round. We kept seeing all of the top 4 changing positions every lap. What's going through your mind when every time you come around you see that you're in a different position like that?
Yeah, it was like a dogfight out there, so it'll probably be some good racing in the race coming up. But yeah, I feel pretty strong and stuff, and I think we can still get a little bit stronger for the race pace. So.
Indeed, and pole position is exactly what you wanted. Some of the times, a lot of the times, were even faster than we've seen here qualifying last year. What were you learning as you went around the course, and how does that set you up for a great race later?
Yeah, just trying to figure out like a better setup for the race coming up. But But yeah, I feel pretty good for the race. We'll see, but there'll be probably a big group battle.
Indeed, it was a very exciting qualifying session, that's for sure. Our pole sitter, PJ Jacobsen.
Thank you, Joe. Great to have this behind-the-scenes access that we get at each and every one of the MotoAmerica race weekends, able to talk to the riders as soon as they get their helmets off and get their initial thoughts. They're always pretty honest out there.
Yeah, and I like watching them, just the intensity in their eyes. You can see the focus and the drive that they have and just how locked in they are mentally.
A lot of great camping spots here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Something for everyone as we take a look at the combined qualifying results for Motovation Supersport. Our pole sitter for the first time this season, PJ Jacobsen, joined by Blake Davis and Matthew Skoltz on the front row.
Look at Aiden Sneed there, 10th inside the top 10. That's a great qualifying for him. And Max Van there, 9th.
And what about Maxi Gerardo? We talked about him during that qualifying session. Great to have him back out here this weekend. Solid effort in qualifying as we go back through the field. Corey Alexander inside of the top 12. Josh Hayes right there as well. Dave Anthony qualifying in 13th. Also a good qualifying effort for Shane Maggs. We saw him there at the end of that page in 19th. 24 riders qualified for racing later on this afternoon. 2 races here this weekend in Motovation Supersport. Take a look at the odds to win, Roger. You see Matthew Skoltz, PJ Jacobsen. Of course, those are easy ones to bet on. Let's talk long shots.
I'm thinking Cam Peterson after the laps he were putting in there really fast. So I would put something on Cam if I'm looking for a long shot.
Again, these odds will be refreshed after racing later on this afternoon. If you're going to put your bets in, make sure you do it 30 minutes before the start of the race. We're going to step away, take a quick break. We'll be back with Superbikes right after this.